Well, on November 29th, people will go to the polls for the general election. And here in Mayo, we've got quite a field of candidates declared so far. Every morning on the programme between now and the 27th of November, we've invited all of the candidates in Mayo to come into studio for face-to-face interviews. We begin this morning with Councillor Mark Duffy, who will be a Fine Gael candidate for Mayo. Thanks, Mark, for coming in. Good morning.
Good morning, Tommy. Thanks for having me in studio.
No problem. Before we talk about politics, let's talk about Mark Duffy, the person, born, bred and buttered in Ballina.
That's right. I'm the second youngest in a family of 13, big family of us, and all of my life growing up in town, I was very involved in the community, playing football. I went to Scollisa up in the park area in Ballina, went down to Sculporic and then went to St. Muredex College. Then went on to study business in GMIT Castlebar and became Students' Union president there. So it was very kind of Mayo-centric education. Went away travelling for a year and moved back to Mayo around about the time of, it was difficult economically. There was the recession still ongoing. So like many young people, I had to move away again and worked abroad for a little while, worked in construction actually in Perth in Australia. And then I ultimately ended up in Dublin like many young people from Mayo. But I always had a compulsion for, say, representation and for public service. It was always something I was very interested in. When Students' Union president, that gave me a good flavour of it. So I decided to move back home in 2019 and run for the local council. And it's been an incredible 6 years, and it's been an honour to serve and work on behalf of the Mayo people in that time. And I just am very excited about the next coming weeks. We've had a great few weeks on the doorstep meeting the Mayo community, and that is really why I want to run for the general election. I find that 90% of the decisions that are made at a national level that affect all of our lives in County Mayo. So we need people from the area who understand the issues, fight in our corner at the top table.
So you're a full-time public representative as we speak, as in you're a full-time councillor.
That's right. Like I said, when I relocated back from Dublin to run in the local elections, having been elected, I quit my job to work on a full-time. Now, that might people may not understand that, but it's because I'm dedicated to the job, and because I think it requires full-time dedication. And I'm based in the town of Ballina. We need as much representation as many people fighting our corner, but definitely on a county-wide basis. It is very difficult as a county councillor to work at it part-time. You must be dedicated to the job, and that's what I am, and that's why I'm trying to seek a higher office to deliver and be more effective for the people of Mayo.
2,300 people there or thereabouts voted for you in the local elections in June on the basis that obviously they were happy with your performance previously, but also because possibly you are an independent candidate. What are you saying to those 2,300 people this morning, some of whom may be very disappointed that you have decided to run for one of the mainstay political parties?
Sure. Well, the reason I got into politics was to be effective and to be a positive change and a force for good in County Mayo. And that's always been my guiding decision. So when Fine Gael approached me to run for them, the questions I asked myself are, is it more likely to deliver infrastructure that should have been delivered 20 or 30 years ago in my area? That's the reason I got into politics. And the question I asked myself was, yes, or the question I asked myself was, yes, that would be this would make me more effective as a public representative. But what I also did was consult many people close to me, friends, family. If people ask me on the street, and I would ask them what are your thoughts, and the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of people said yes, that sounds like a good idea.
You could though have run as an independent. Looking at the polls, independents could well hold the balance of power.
Sure, and like I could have run as an independent, and I could be a populist, and I could be telling people what they want to hear. But I know that some people may not like that decision. But my guiding principle is to be effective and to deliver for County Mayo. And that's why I am running, and that's why I think that in a political party, when decisions are being made that affect all of our lives on the ground, when the cake is being cut and being divvied up, we need to make sure that we have people fighting our corner to make sure that Mayo is not left behind, and that we have the investment that we so badly need in certain areas in the county.
Had you not been asked by Fine Gael to run as a candidate for them, would you have run as an independent?
I would have run as an independent, yes. And I'm like I said, I find that 90% of the decisions that are made nationally, whether it's through the HSE or through TII, that affect our lives. So we need people at the top table fighting our corner to make sure that we're getting delivery and that we're getting our fair share.
Okay, we did ask listeners to let us know what questions I should pose to you today. So randomly we're going to talk about some of them. One of the common denominator questions that have come up, Mark, is in relation to the Joe Biden mural in Ballina town. Let me just read one or two. This question for Mark. Firstly, is he still willing to stand over the mural at Joe Biden in Ballina town centre despite widespread opposition? And secondly, given that what has happened in the US recently, what is Fine Gael and Mark, if elected, going to learn from it and do to address the widespread wealth inequality that has worsened in Ireland since Fine Gael took power? Let's deal with the first part of that question first. And this, as I say, is one of many on the issue of the Joe Biden mural. Where do you stand on that?
Well, no, it's great it came up, and obviously Joe Biden has a strong affinity to Ballina, and I would be closely associated with that connection, given the fact that while Mayor, I introduced him to 27,000 people on a special night. A lot has changed since that, and the Americans' support of Israel has really galled a lot of people. And
has it galled you?
It has, yeah. It's been disappointing to say the least. But in terms of a mural, obviously it is very symbolic and something that it's sensitive for a lot of people who see the footage coming from Gaza and see the bloodshed and the difficulty there and the trauma there, and it has such a negative mental health impact on so many people who are seeing that on a daily basis. And the mural in town obviously reignites those memories or those visions, because they connect the US's support with Israel.
So where do you stand?
I have no issue with it being taken down. I've made that clear, but I don't have direct responsibility.
Okay, but just clarify. Would you like to see it taken down?
I would be happy for it to be taken down. He's obviously there's a new president-elect. And I think that if something is causing such a pronounced issue to so many people, I don't think it has. I don't think it has the desired effect anymore. Okay. I think it
has served its purpose.
Yeah, I think so, and it's celebrated the strong connections. But if it's causing so much angst and anger, but like I said, I don't have the control or the decision making on it. I'm just closely associated with it because, as mayor of the town at the time, we had close connections, and it was very, very fruitful at the time.
Your view would be it should be taken down.
I think that given the change in presidency, I don't object to it coming down.
All right. Why do you get so associated with iPass centres? Already loads of questions on this. Planning approved for one beside the cinema. This texter says planning with the council for the empty girls' secondary school in Convent Hill, which I know you're very associated with. This one says, we in Ballina have enough people in our town. We're sick of being treated like second-class citizens. The people of Ireland need to speak out and let the people looking to be elected to think of their own people before looking after people from other countries. Have Ballina taken enough?
I'm glad you asked that question, and you are right. I get associated with this, and there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. But I do know that there's a lot of angst within the community over the past number of weeks. First of all, I am involved in the Ballina Convent Regeneration Project, which is restoring a historic Sisters of Mercy building, and it is something that I've been volunteering on and put a lot of time and effort in to restore a historic building within the town to use as a force for good, for community, for culture, for music, for arts. And I'm really excited to help push that on and help support the Ballina community. Right next door to it is the old St. Mary's Secondary School, which was purchased by a private individual. And last week, along with another application on Mercy Road, there was 2 applications in for planning permission for iPass. So anyone can apply for planning permission for a building, obviously. But I immediately sought clarification from the Taoiseach's office. And then that, as an aside, being within a political party, you have that channel at your disposal, which is very useful to speak directly with the Taoiseach's team. And what came back was that there has been no interaction, no engagement with IPAS on this building. It wasn't on their radar. And previously, just so it be clear, I was supportive of during the almost 3 years ago now, when the Ukraine invasion by Russia happened. I had suggested at the time that St. Mary's Secondary School be used, but that's before the total mismanagement of the immigration issue. But where it's at the moment is that it's just an application by a private individual. I don't see and don't get the sense that it will be something that will be engaged with by IPAS, and I think that is a position that I would agree with.
And if it were to be, would you come out strongly against it?
I already have, and it's because we need a clear plan and roadmap, and we don't have that at the moment, and we need to have clarity on things, because I think that, like, in Ballina, growing up in the town, we feel like we don't have had our fair share in terms of governmental investment. So, and I see, in terms of my top priority, is housing and the delivery of housing, whether it's social, affordable, one-off housing in rural areas. But there's so much bureaucracy and red tape. We're going through it now with a battle with the OPR, who are totally stymieing potential progress of housing developments across town. So on one hand, we have proposed housing developments in the town that are being delayed and stymied and blocked, and having a planning system that's totally loose without any clear strategy. On the other hand, is very frustrating, and it's not palatable for people or myself.
Okay, a few, by the way, all of the questions that listeners send in, we're going to give copies of to Mark. Obviously, your identity and your phone number and anything of a personal nature won't, but we will be giving him all of the specifics. And here are a few specifics. Can you please ask Mark about the Crossmolina Deal River? When, or is it ever going to begin? It was supposed to be given the green light months ago, and it was to start at the end of October. Still nothing. People are frustrated, to say the least, and they've been hoodwinked and felt hoodwinked for so long by all politicians of every shade. So what are you going to do? Is Mark going to be the saviour of the Crossmolina Deal River?
No, well, I it's something that has caused immense anxiety and frustration and anger amongst people in Crossmolina, and it's something that I have worked to help support, and that's why I'm trying to get into a position where I can do more and be more effective for County Mayo. And this is one of those key issues that needs to be resolved and addressed. What I do understand is that it is almost ready to begin work, and I've heard a date of somewhere in December to break ground and begin work on that. So that's is what I've been told is the latest update. It has to go through the whole formal processes. But that's what does frustrate me, Tommy, to be honest, is the amount of bureaucratic processes that are in place. This situation in Crossmolina is an emergency situation. The housing crisis is an emergency situation. It needs to be dealt with like one, as opposed to all the bureaucracy, all the consultants, all the consultation. People are fed up and sick of that. I'm on the Ballina Municipal District Council. I'm on the County Council. I'm on the North West Regional Assembly. And for all the policy, all the bureaucracy, it's still not building houses, still not getting the Deal River situation sorted. But I'm glad to say that on the Crossmolina issue, that is to be resolved very soon.
Okay.
But please God, we don't have any adverse weather in advance of that.
What do you say to people who will say, fair enough, you're from North Mayo, you know the areas of Ballina, Crossmolina, Killala, Bunnyconlon, right up to Lardon, through to Swinford relatively well. But say for somebody, for example, in Tormacady, this texter says, what does Mark know about Tormacady, and what's he going to do for the people out there in that part of Mayo? That is a very hard circle to square, isn't it? Because there would be areas of Mayo you'd know very little about.
No, it's actually not true. What I know about Tormacady is that there's nearly more people living in Chicago from Tormacady than there is people in Tormacady. I know it's a beautiful part of the world, but what I have already been doing for people in Tormacady and people right across County Mayo is the Críochnata scheme, which is the grant that's for derelict and vacant houses. What people may not realise, what people may not recall, is that when it was introduced, it was limited to population centres of over 600 people. But I fought hard and lobbied hard and got full support from right across the council chamber to have that rolled out so that people in rural Ireland would be eligible for that. So all the old cottages where families left this county and left rack and ruin is now shown that there's a new life getting back into these places. So places like Tormakeedy can now benefit from that. But my point in terms of my priorities, one is housing, but another is quality of life. So if we want to attract our young people back from Australia, from North America, from the Middle East, we need to have good quality of life and proper facilities, sporting facilities, proper childcare facilities. We need to improve the quality of life and make sure that it's an attractive place to live. So for any decision or any policy that I bring in will benefit all of County Mayo. It's not just about being parochial, and I'm fed up with parochial politics. We need people, and I'm fed up with populist politics. That's why I'm in the job, is to be effective and to deliver for all of County Mayo.
And I know you've given your reasons as to why you've joined Fine Gael as opposed to going as an independent candidate. But a lot of people find that just hard to understand. For example, there's a lot of cynicism within Fine Gael, even this morning, in relation to this big announcement over the weekend. They're going to reduce the VAT rate for the hospitality sector to 9%, and will do it within the first 100 days of getting back into office. I mean, does that not smack of cynicism for the electorate? They could have announced that in the budget 5 or 6 weeks ago.
For sure they could, but they didn't have the Ministry for Finance during that. I appreciate that they are in government, but they did not have the Ministry for Finance, and it is a party of business, and we need to support businesses, support family businesses and local businesses, and it comes up on the doorstep quite regularly with me, and it comes up when we canvass the businesses right across every town, that there are pressures there, and we need to do everything we can to support it. But going back to the attraction to myself and Fine Gael, it has new leadership now, it has new energy, and that's the Simon Harris as the Taoiseach is someone who I can resonate with. He's in his 30s. His upbringing was very modest, but he has real drive and energy to try and revitalise Ireland and make it a great place for young and old to live in, and that's part of the attraction for me.
Okay, this texter says, is the only place in Mayo Ballina? All I'm seeing online about Mark Duffy on social media is Ballina, Ballina, Ballina.
Well, that's my job at the moment, is to represent Ballina, and that's why I'm going for the general election, is to represent County Mayo. So I have never hid the fact that I've born and raised in a town that hasn't got its fair share, but I want to be a national representative to make sure that County Mayo, I've been honest always in focusing on the town that has not been represented as strongly as it can be. And now I'm running for the general election, which will mean that I will fight for all of County Mayo. So I've never hid the fact that Ballina on a local level is something that I focused on. But now I'm looking for a mandate from the county to represent County Mayo to make it a better place for young and old to live. So you'll hear a lot more about County Mayo if I'm given the opportunity to be elected to represent County Mayo in Dáil Éireann.
Okay, this is a Ballina issue in relation to parking at Foxford and Ballina train stations. It's almost impossible to park. If Mark is serious about encouraging public transport, what's he going to do about this? This is something surely that came up as a local councillor.
And this is again, that's 100% spot on. Whoever contacted there, we need to obviously improve public transport, improve connectivity from North Mayo into Knock Airport. But we also must make it accessible for people, for drop-offs, for parking. So that is something that definitely we need to support. But my point again goes back to 90% of the decisions are made. Bus Éireann and CIE, they're national organisations. So while I'm one of 30 councillors on a local level trying to advocate for improvements there, if I'm at a position of influence in the Dáil, you have national responsibilities that include Bus Éireann and include CIE, to make those improvements. So the person who got in touch is spot on. We need to do more to make it more connected and more accessible, but I need to be given the chance to get into a position where I can actually drive that on and make that happen.
You've been a big supporter of the Mary Robinson Centre in Ballina. Brian says Mark Duffy's stance on the Mary Robinson Centre is going to come back to bite him. He said it is not a waste of public money. So tell us why it's not a waste, because what's in there?
Well, first of all, let me be clear that the Mary Robinson Centre project predated me getting into politics. This was happening before.
But you've always supported it.
I absolutely have. You know why? Because Ballina and Mayo has not had its fair share of delivery, and this is a project that was being put forward. So I was never going to go against something that was being put forward, and actually finally seeing ground break on something was something that was very attractive to me, and I was delighted to see it happen. I'll give you an example. I went into St Mary's Secondary School last week and I spoke with the CSP students there, they all asked me, why is the Mary Robinson Centre not open? And I asked them, show of hands, who's in favour of it? And all hands went up. And that's the people we need to be listening to, is the young people in the classrooms who need to see a future here, who need to learn about the story of a woman who came from County Mayo, who went on to be in the UN and Ireland's first female president. It's an incredible legacy, and I think that we can and should use whatever means it takes to get the project over the line. It's already been used. The coach house at the back has been used by different community groups and organisations for different projects, and it's a beautiful facility. What is missing is the final funding to kit it out, and I will support that, and I'm happy to do that, because currently, as people say, it is a white elephant sitting on the River Moy, a beautiful building that's been well restored, but it needs that final investment to make sure that it is a centre for climate dialogue, for women in leadership, and I think that it can be a force for good for all of County Mayo, and we need to make that happen.
Did you speak to Simon Harris directly?
I did. I spoke to him at length. I explained. I said that I'm a product of not so good government policy in my part of Mayo. There's projects like the N26, the orbital route, the N58 between Foxford and Ballyvarry are projects that should have been delivered. They're legacy projects, I describe them as, because people are fed up of hearing them and not seeing them delivered. I spoke about the Western Rail Corridor, and I spoke about the bureaucracy that exists in terms of housing and the lack of delivery and the bureaucracy that exists there, and the fact that local government is not working as well as it should for people. So he totally supported that, and that's what gave me the confidence to join the party, to work with him, to restore people's faith in public service and restore people's faith to make sure that we are delivering for people on the ground.
Okay, would it be fair to say that if Simon Harris hadn't taken over leadership, you may not have joined Fine Gael? You mentioned earlier on, because there's a new dynamic within the party. Was that one of the main reasons why you decided to go with Fine Gael?
There was a whole host of reasons, and like I said, it goes back to me asking myself the question, what can make me be most effective for County Mayo? And over a series of discussions, his leadership being part of that, I was satisfied that I was on a team that can deliver for County Mayo.
Okay. Mary Kilchamoss says, I'd like to ask Mark and all the other candidates interviewing going forward, do they sometimes give any volunteering in their local community and do work without pay and therefore understand the passion of working with ordinary people? Well, I think you've been involved with volunteering, haven't you?
I'm a long time volunteer, and thank you to Mary in Kilchamoss. I helped found the Ballina Community Cleanup Group. We've had hundreds of volunteers over the past number of years. Haven't been out as much as I like to be lately, but I'm on the Ballina Arts Centre board. We're leading the convent regeneration as a volunteer there to drive on that regeneration. So, be honest, Mary, most of my time is spent volunteering outside of my council work, and it is because I'm so passionate about delivery for County Mayo. So I really understand the frustrations that are there as well amongst the volunteer community, because whether it's leader grants or different funding applications, the bureaucracy and the red tape is not what people want to be dealing with. They want to be dealing with enhancing their village or town, picking up the litter, planting the flowers and the trees, making it a better place for everyone to live in. And there's incredible work being done right across the county and so many great examples. And that's what we need to support and take out the bureaucracy and just support people and support volunteers.
All right, in 60 seconds finally, Mark, what are you saying? What's your appeal to listeners this morning? Why vote for Mark Duffy?
Well, I'll be a new energy and a new voice for County Mayo in Dáil, and I understand the issues. I've 6 years experience within local government, and I'm extremely passionate about County Mayo. I'm optimistic for its future. We need to return our young people from right across the world and Ireland back to the county to make sure that we have a vibrant and prosperous County Mayo, and that's what I'd be fighting for in Dáil if I'm given the chance.
Okay, very good. And just to finish with an invitation to Mark Duffy to join. I just got it here, in front of me a moment ago. You do know that I think it's every Friday a peaceful meeting takes place at the bridge, I think in Ballina. This is from Angel Mejia Castro. Mark, why don't you join us on Fridays in Ballina for Gaza? Come on Friday at 5 o'clock, bring a flag and a friend. The Biden mural must go. Please get behind the campaign to remove it now. You've said what you have to say about that. And as I say, a lot of other calls coming in relation to the iPass centres. Again, you've made your view known that Mayo has had and taken its share.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Mayo has taken its share of refugees and asylum seekers.
I think that there's it's clear from the Mayo County Council point of view that we are looking for a clear strategy, and we don't have that at the moment. So without a strategy, without a roadmap or a plan, it creates a lot of angst and anxiety. I've spoken with people on the doorstep who are saying that there's not enough resources in place, who are directly impacted by international protection applicants who are not being properly supported and integrated into school systems or into the community, and they're at their wits' end in terms of that situation.
And it can only happen in Irish politics. One texter suggesting that maybe you've been promised a senatorship if you don't get elected.
I'm totally focused on delivering a Dáil seat in County Mayo, and that's all that I am focused on. And like I said, it's not about me, it's about County Mayo. And I have been involved, like I said, in public life all of my life in the community. That's all that I'm passionate about. And I hope that I will demonstrate that if I'm given the chance by the people.
Mark Duffy, Fine Gael candidate, thank you so much for coming into studio today, and we wish you the very best of luck with the rest of your campaign. By the way, this interview will be posted as a podcast after this programme, as will all of the other